Welcome to the Banh Chronicles podcast. My name is Randy Kim, and I am so excited to have this next guest on. His name is Cameron McCloud from Cure for Paranoia. So, from the bio, it says, born on a doomsday road trip, Dallas collective Cure for Paranoia delivers
Mhm.
trippy, soul-infused hip-hop. Championed by Erykah Badu and three-time NPR Tiny Desk finalists, the group turns
Or-
mental health struggles into high-energy anthems. With their
mhm.
work of ART, EP, and Electric Live sets, they are the perfect dose from the mind of Cameron McCloud. Crowned Dallas Hip Hop Group of the Year 2025 and the Dallas Observer and Entertainment Awards, the collective has also secured back-to-back Song of the Year honors with Love Again in 2025 and From Texas in 2024. So I want to say thank you so much for being on my show. I know that you've had a very hectic road trip recently with your tour. And how are you doing to start out this year, now that we're into May?
Man, now we're like kind of getting ready to go into the summer as far as summer's going to be like a big travel time. Like next month, technically in June, I'm doing South by Southwest in London. That's gonna be my first time ever
Wow.
in London in my life. And then I've got some stuff lined up at the end of July out in Europe as well, like a couple festivals. And then other than that, we've got like spot dates that we're doing throughout the summer. We are waiting to hear back from Tiny Desk. This is actually our this has been our fourth year being in the
Wow.
finals. And I don't know, we're just gonna see if they're gonna keep playing with us or not because they said in their review of us recently about our submission, Bobby Carter said himself, he said they are the creme de la creme. And I'm like, if you can't win the Tiny Desk competition being the creme de la creme, what can you what can you do? What can you do?
I was just gonna say because I mean not everything has to be a victorious conquer of yours. Like if you don't win Tiny Desk, it's not the end of the world, I think, because I
Hmm.
mean you look at Jennifer Hudson, she didn't win American Idol, but yet she's an ego, the
Right.
Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony Award winner.
Yeah.
And you look at like other successes that, were not even in second place and they were still able to thrive. But I'm curious about what drew you back to the NPR Tiny Desk competition because you have brought out some really great music through it, and I feel like I'm surprised that you didn't win. But what's drawing you back to that competition?
I feel like I don't know. It's almost like it's like something to prove
Hmm.
in a way. Really, if I'm being honest, this year it was more so about the promotional aspect of it. I
Hmm.
feel like a big pop in our career was last year's Tiny Desk submission, and it's just like free promo. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So it's just like, yeah, there's no reason not to do it. And I just felt like this year of any year was definitely it just made the most sense to do it with the following having grown in the way that it did.
Hmm.
It's like, why would we not? It's just as opportune for us to put out a Tiny Desk submission because it does get our name out there. There's a lot more followers that can like share and push the
Hmm.
Tiny Desk and things of that nature. Um, so yeah, it is interesting that you said that though because it's this is really the first year that we've submitted that like it really is like win or lose, we'll be
Hmm.
fine. It's always been that way,
Hmm.
obviously, like seeing where we're at now. But this is the first year that I've really went into it with that mindset that it's not like winning Tiny Desk is going to be what makes or breaks our career, you know?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, because I was wondering if it feels like Michael Jordan trying to play against the Pistons, where he lost like three times before he got the fourth victory. You know,
Ah,
I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, so
okay.
yeah, I pay attention to my sports still, and
Ah,
like yeah, and I also thought about like maybe the Leonardo DiCaprio when it took him like several times to win an Oscar. So who
yeah.
knows? I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the persistence does come up, but also I think what's great is that it gives you the attention because as an independent artist these days, it seems like it's such a massive struggle to fight through the algorithms with the curated playlists, the
Hmm.
less investment from record companies with music videos, where like these days it just feels like that medium has been a challenge because it is very costly and it's not very incentivizing for artists to be able to put out meaningful music videos. But how, in a way, have you been able to try to navigate through this very different landscape in the way the digital world treats music and its artists?
I think while we're talking about it, Tiny Desk just emailed me.
Oh,
They just want to do a Zoom tomorrow from 3 to 5.
hmm. Okay. Well, I like to see what happens from that.
Uh,
It would be like breaking news if I if
I
they
know,
said
right?
yes. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I was kind of anticipating like, please let it be, please let it be. That would be
Yeah,
breaking
yeah,
news, you know?
yeah. That's
But yeah,
that's interesting. I'm sorry, what was your
yeah.
question again?
No, yeah, I was just gonna say like when you think of like, Jordan or the Leonardo DiCaprio, like how long it took for them to get there. And you think about the independent music industry as a whole these days, like how the landscape of streaming and the way music video seems to be devalued because it's so costly and it's not as incentivizing for artists. Um, how do you like navigate through this very challenging culture where it feels like a real grind to try to make a sustainable living as an artist, and especially with touring where it is becoming more costly to do so, merchandise is up the roof,
Hmm.
and regular people can't afford ticket prices, and independent artists can't like really afford to stay in hotels like night in night out. So I'm curious to see what that looks like for you and your bandmates.
Man, I think that we're really like getting our footing and our stride as far as like the financial aspect of things. And I think it is because I mean last year really like it kind of all goes back to the Tiny Desk where it was like we were so convinced that like it had to be a full band performance every single time. Otherwise, there was just no way that we were going to like be successful. Like it
Mhm.
had to be a full band thing. But from doing like the daily verses and realizing that like the fandom can grow from just me rapping at a camera to realizing that we can tour with like just us three in situations like it has been amazing for the cost effectiveness of things to kind of like downsize a little bit as things are expanding. Um, so I mean, I, I yeah, and I also feel like just in music, it's about realizing that music isn't the only thing that's going to make you money as a musician.
Mhm.
Like we have been, obviously doing like the merch and things, but also it's like I've been creating books out of me doing the verses every day. I've been giving people the opportunity to, donate and invest in the band as like I continue to do things. So I think it's really about realizing. I think as artists, we have an issue with uh seeming like we're asking for money or with seeming like we're not already rich. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But it's like that's the whole point of doing this music. That's the whole point of doing it as a profession. Like and it's almost like a Shark Tank situation. You do need
Mhm.
crowdfunding. You do
Mhm.
need your support system to help you kind of get where you need to go. So yeah, I think it's about just not thinking that streams and shows alone are going to be what gets you financial success as a
Mhm.
musician. If that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah. And also like when it
I'm sorry,
comes
I'm like sitting here like a little I'm like they've ne hmm I'm excited about tomorrow.
I hope so too. Yeah.
In all of the I will say this, in all of the 4 years that we've ever submitted, we've
Hmm.
made it to like finalists all 4 years. We never had them hit us
Mm.
up and be like, "Hey, we just want to do an interview real quick tomorrow to talk to you." Like, we've never had to do like a Zoom
Ah,
interview with them this
knock
far
on wood.
into it.
Knock on wood. I hope it becomes your Michael Jordan 1991 era when he finally gets past the
Whenever you said that, I
Pistons,
was like,
you know.
"Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that so I can use
Oh,
it." So
Michael Jordan
Michael Jordan.
had like for like 3 straight years, he lost to the Pistons in the playoffs, the bad boy Pistons. And it wasn't
Uh-huh.
until 1991 where he had to face them again. and they swept them. And then that was when Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons didn't want to shake their hands, and Jordan
Mm,
made sure that he wasn't going to get on the Isaiah wasn't going to get on the dream team because Jordan's petty that way. But Jordan was
hmm
able to win the NBA championship that year against the Lakers, and that was his first
After losing
championship.
3 times.
Yes, to the Pistons, where these days it feels like if you don't get it right the first time, you may not even get a second chance. And I
Hmm
feel like the fact that he was given this many times, or even LeBron James, like against the Celtics a few
Yeah.
times, it's like how um do you have the opportunity to continue to pursue this, And I think that's a testament to your own tenacity and your own
Yeah.
belief in your art. And I think that's really powerful. And I think what it's doing, it's actually like opening up like a floodgate in some ways of like new audiences. And I wonder because you just went on tour recently in the US and I know you went to
hmm
Chicago. So I was wondering about how that experience was like, working with the audience and, in your interactions with the crowd, and how does it feel as an artist on a day-to-day basis to, travel from city to city, staying in a hotel or staying in your own van or what have you? Like, how has that been like, going through this period of trying to not only tour, but also to continue to promote yourself at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, it's been really eye-opening for one. What we've been doing every time is for this last tour that we did, which was really our first tour outside of Texas, so it was us kind of getting our footing on things. We were getting Airbnbs everywhere that we were
Mm,
going instead of like doing hotels or whatever, because it was honestly cheaper to do it that way and more spacious and stuff like that. Um, I it made us realize some things that we need to like adjust and some things that we need to tweak on how we do things. Like um, the next time we tour, it is going to be a situation where it's like maybe it would be more advantageous to get a bus to go to different places instead of we were flying to all of these
oh
different
wow.
spots. Yeah, so it had just like that was like a learning curve for one. Um, but yeah, I think the most difficult part about it, honestly, is just the coming home aspect of it.
Mhm,
Because it's like then you come into this kind of mentality where it's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like I'm just like here. You know, what I mean, there's almost like a hangover that comes from
mhm,
coming off a tour. And it's like going from be like coming from the mindset of like, okay, we need to wake up and we need to be here at this time. When we get here, we need to make sure that we get dressed in time to go for load in, and then we need to make sure that we eat dinner. Otherwise, we're not going to have time to before the show. And we need
mhm,
to blah, blah. Like it's going from like having somewhere to go all the time to now I've just been home recently and like honestly have felt like I've all it's almost I felt lazy
mhm,
in a way recently, even though it's like we're expanding the career and things are happening and things are going on. Like I've felt like with not being on the road, I've just felt like I'm not doing anything. You know
mhm,
what I
mhm,
mean? And I think it goes into like it's been my mission and my goal to tour since Cure started, since
mhm,
Cure's inception. Like I've wanted to be on the road and I wanted to that's just all I want to do. That's I you hear people be like, "Oh, well, I don't really love tour that much." Blah, blah. Like it's kind of mixed. It's a mixed bag between how you feel about it, but
mhm,
I'm like, let me find out for myself that tour is bad because it's like I
mhm.
haven't seen it yet. So like, yeah.
Yeah, actually, what are your favorite cities? And I'm curious about what your thoughts about Chicago. You can be very honest here. I'm not gonna grill you.
Chicago. I that was the first stop that we made on the
Mm,
tour, and that was
mhm,
honestly our best show that we had
mm,
the entire time. But I don't know. Maybe I need to be there a little bit longer,
yeah.
but it's like because it's like it didn't give me that feeling that I get like anytime I go to New York,
Mhm,
I'm like, this is where I need to be. This is
mhm,
where I'm meant to be at, is here in this city. I didn't really get that from Chicago, but it's like I did love. Yeah, I did love it there, but it's like I didn't really get to
mhm.
experience it.
Yeah, because I think Chicago, in a way, it doesn't have like the kind of glamour, let's say, an LA does, or say the New York, where it's very on. And
Hmm.
Chicago is more of a laid, I think to me, like I say it's more of a from biased standpoint, but like we're more like we're more laid back, I would say, but also we're I think I've seen a lot of fans get very enthusiastic about the bands and the artists and they get really invested
Yeah.
into it, but there's nothing that's very, bells and whistles about Chicago
Hmm.
in that sense, and I think we're just a very laid back kind of like, yeah, we're there to see a great show
Hmm.
and it's like and I think it has like a roll up your sleeve blue collar mentality that Chicago that a lot of people know Chicago for. Do you also have had time to like interact with fans afterwards? Because I think one of the best things, and I've gone to many concerts over the years, and I think one of the best things is being able to interact with the artists too. Like,
Absolutely.
like just having a regular conversation, rather than, like I mean, I met a lot of like very various performers in the past, like in person, like Janet Jackson, Andre
Hmm.
3000, Brandy, and I was like, wow, this is so cool to like really see someone that I have listened to as a child to
Hmm.
now. What does it feel like for you when you're engaging with the audience, before, during, and after show?
Yeah, it's my favorite part. It's my favorite part of the show. Every single show that we had
Mhm.
on tour, there was like an hour long like meet and greet after the
Mhm.
shows, of like just like getting to meet and talk to the fans and it yeah, it's especially like in the way that I do music and like
Mhm.
how I like what I represent as far as just like being like completely authentic and like loving yourself and like showing up and putting yourself completely out there to do that, especially coming from a place where it's like I used to like fundamentally hate everything about myself,
Mhm.
to go from that to getting to be around all of these people that are like that see you and
Mhm.
also just like connect with you and like to yeah, just to realize that it's like all the shit that you hit about yourself is stuff that inspires other people to be themselves, you
Mhm.
know? So
Mhm.
it's been such a it's such a humbling and affirming thing, and I'm just so grateful for that's why people in my band will be like, "You're so good at talking to people," but no, it's just
Mhm.
like I'm so grateful to be getting to talk to these people that resonate with
Mhm.
who I am and what I'm putting out there. You know what I mean? So it's like I will forever. I've even had my boyfriend being like, "You need to start charging for meet and greets," but it's like I
Yeah.
don't even want to. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it just feels good to and it's so funny because in real life and like in my like day-to-day Sims character, I am like kind of like I'm not always the most confident when talking to people.
Mhm.
In my opinion, I just like critique myself a lot as far as like my like interactions or whatever, but it's like I feel my most authentic self. I feel like on stage is the only time I'm not performing. I feel like
Mhm.
everywhere else is where I am performing. So it's like to yeah, just to get that reception for being yourself is beautiful and amazing.
Mhm. What did you hate most about being Cameron McCloud for such a long time?
I mean, the gay of it all was pretty
Mm,
pressing, especially like coming from a background of wanting to be like a pastor and like
mm,
wanting to like and like growing up in the church and stuff. So it's like I was taught to hate that aspect of myself because I serve a, a God that hates me. You know what I mean? So there was that, and then there was also just like feeling awkward and feeling like unconfident, and also knowing at like in my subconscious that I wanted to be a musician. That's what I want. I wanted to be a musician. So like it realizing like all of these things that I convinced myself were wrong with me and were going to prevent me from being able to be a musician.
mm,
Like even at an early age, like at 16, I thought I was having a midlife crisis.
mm,
And I like asked I remember asking my mom what a midlife crisis was.
mm,
But like to be on the other side of it at 32 years old
mm,
now, like past that, it's like going from like the I said in a interview yesterday that I was doing, I said it was interesting to go from at a younger age telling myself like I'm gonna be successful enough to be myself. I'm
Hmm.
gonna be so good at rapping that it doesn't even matter. All those things don't matter. You know what I mean? To now on the other side of it being like I'm so myself that I get to be successful. You know what I mean? Like the
Hmm.
more that I pour into myself, the more that I'm able to give out creatively and and on stage. So
Yeah, no, I think that's very profound too, because like when you have to pressure yourself with perfectionism, like I have to be above and beyond. I gotta be the greatest at what I do in order to get
hmm
any kind of respect or to be able to like minimize like the whatever faults, weaknesses that I
hmm
have to gain the acceptance and to be taken seriously. And then really to really unlearn that, to unpack that and be like, no, I don't necessarily have to be perfect.
yeah,
Need to be I need to be in love with myself in order for me to feel like I can give a lot more and that I can thrive and I can create great work that I'm proud of. And
yeah.
I wonder about like the hip hop landscape or like in black music because especially as a queer black man, I like there weren't very many. I mean, I think of Lil Nas X like the last several years, and how he
hmm
broke through. There was Frank Ocean, and then you had Doechii more recently. And
hmm
like, how did you try to work through a landscape that didn't seem to be particularly welcoming to queer and to LGBTQ folks?
By making sure that I'm better than them
Mhm.
creatively, make it as a musician by making sure I'm perfecting my art to a point where it's like it's undeniable. That's
Mhm.
what I'm going for. I'm going for undeniability. And I think yeah, that's also about carving your own lane too, because it sets yourself apart from the norm as far as like what a hip hop artist is supposed to be.
Mhm.
And I think also I have never made it a situation where it's like I'm hiding behind that
Mhm.
aspect of myself. I'm not using like I'm not a gay artist. I'm an artist that happens to be gay. You know what I mean? So it's like I think it's one not using that as a crutch to and it so that I don't like the same way it's like I can't remember what actor it was, but it was like how does it feel? I remember the interviewer asked him something like, "How does it feel to be like a black artist or a black actor doing this?" And he's like, "I'm not. I'm just an actor." You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so it's like not making it. I don't want that to be like the
Mhm.
stamp
Mhm.
on me. Um. So yeah, it's felt to this point, it's felt like a superpower in a way because it's
Mhm.
something that literally like makes me stand apart and stand alone.
Yeah, what artists did you gravitate towards growing up and in a way that like really inspired the way you think about music and the way you think about the live performance?
I think my biggest inspiration musically, like in all encompassing, is Lauryn Hill.
Mm,
Because I used to listen to Unplugged daily before I went to school, like
mm,
every single day. It influenced the way that I create, but even more so, it influenced the way that I show up and am vulnerable and I'm like putting myself completely out there. You know what I mean? Um, It's why it's influenced the way that I perform. It's influenced the way that I speak in between songs. It's influenced the way I write songs and what I write about. Like that's definitely been like the biggest inspiration for me as far as like, yeah, as far as like creatively.
mm. And you you connected with Erica Badu like
Mhm,
years ago. What was what was the what was the setup in a way? Like, how did that all come about? Like, because I know Erica Badu's from Dallas,
mhm.
and I'm curious to know like. what was your feelings about her before you connected with her? Was her music also a big part of your own upbringing as well?
Yeah. What's crazy is it wasn't. It really wasn't. And like I didn't really like get into Erica like that until after I heard in 2015 uh Donnie Trumpet had put out like a compilation album with Chance the Rapper. And it had everybody on it. Like Busta Rhymes was on it.
Hmm.
Like but I can't even remember all of them. It was like the Migos were on it or something. It was just like such a wide spectrum of different artists that were all on this thing. And I remember, I'll never forget, there was like one day where I was like at my homie's house, because I was like essentially homeless at the time. I just lived with him. And I remember I'm sitting on the porch. It was like raining. And I had like the doors open. And it was in a time when I was just really, really lost and not knowing what I knew I wanted to make music work, but not knowing how I was going to make it work. And yeah, just really like trying to find my path. And as I'm listening through to the project, uh, as the rain starts pouring like really heavy, the song Rememory from that project comes on and it's featuring Erica. And like her verse is like her consoling chants about his uneasiness and about his yeah, confusion on where he's at in his career and stuff like that. But I just remember like hearing those words and it was as if she was speaking to me about like where I was at and what my situation was. So I remember from there I started in 2015 is when I really started to do like a dive into her music. And yeah, and there were like a few songs that really resonated with me. And then fast forward to there was an event for Straight Outta Compton. It had just come came out, and I'm not, as you know, DOC is from Dallas. So DOC was at the Bomb Factory, and they were speaking about Straight Outta Compton. It was like a whole event for it, and Badu was there also speaking. And I remember me and my friend Stan were playing a show out in Tyler, Texas, and we realized, like I saw on my phone that she was there at Bomb Factory. So we like drove 100 from Tyler to get to Dallas, like on time to see this. Snuck into the Bomb Factory, and like we walk in, and Badu's on stage whenever we walk in speaking. And I remember when I walked in, what she said to the audience, she was like, and remember, she said, write it down because spelling is a spell. So like whatever it is that you want to do, just write it out. And I like took that into like, that's what I'll do with my music. Like whatever I want myself to be and who I want to be in life, I'll just write it out in music. So long story short, I end up sneaking backstage. Because I just always used to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I liked to, I was like, if I like am back there in that room, then it's like it makes me feel like I'm like progressing in my career and it makes me
Hmm.
feel
Hmm.
like
Totally.
I'm like I'm not even a fake it till you make it type of thing, but it's like of course I'm supposed to be here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Hmm.
just showing up in spaces that I put myself in rooms
Hmm.
before I was in those rooms because I knew I was supposed to be in those rooms. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
So I'm backstage and Badu and her like posse is walking towards me and uh I end up like spitting a verse to her. And I got a friend of mine was filming whenever I rapped to her. I got the footage from him, gave it to my homegirl that worked at this magazine out here, and I told her to post the video and say some kid raps to Erica Badu. Like, don't put my name on it, just say some kid raps to Badu. Because I knew if I just posted it myself, it might get a little bit of stuff or whatever, but
Hmm.
if you're hearing it secondhand from someone else, then you're more likely to like, oh snap, like to interact with it. You know what I mean? So then there's like comments flooding in, being like, oh, that's Cameron, that's blah blah blah. Like, you know what I mean? It goes semi-viral, and Badu ends up sending like her right-hand man, Cold Chris, to one of our shows and like has him FaceTime her. so she can like see the show. And then that next night, Cole Chris calls me and he's like, "Yo, E wants you to perform at her birthday party." So I end up back at the Bomb Factory where I snuck in the first place, where I snuck backstage in the first place. I end up back at the Bomb Factory performing for thousands of people for the first time in my life. And yeah, that's like that was like the kind of like rocket that set our career off here in
Mm.
Dallas.
Wow. And and does Erica like come in and just get in touch with you still, or does she still kind of follow your career and give you advice or?
She just I know like she sees what's happening. She
Hmm.
sees everything, and I say that like she's God. She doesn't see everything, but I
Hmm.
know that she sees like the trajectory and the career, and like I'm connected with every member of her band. Um, and like yeah, like we've uh like been in the same rooms like a few times since like recently I was in a play with her sister. And like I saw Erica there. But it's not a situation where I'm hitting her up and I'm like, hey, will you put a feature on the song or anything like that? It's like I want to get to a point where it's like where she comes to me because that's when I'll know that
Hmm.
that I've made it whenever she's reaching out to me for something.
Yeah. And you also worked as a preschool teacher on top of it.
Hmm.
Like, like, I'm very curious about like how does that in a way, like working with kids, impact your work as an artist? Like what you're witnessing from kids, but also from parents and what they're absorbing, especially now that they're learning how to do iPads, which is still
Mm,
mind blowing to me.
yeah.
I barely know how to use my phone sometimes.
Mm.
Um, so I'm curious about what you've been observing and how in a way that kind of reflects the art that you do and that you create.
I think it's made me be a lot more simplistic with what I do. Um, because like we're all kids at the end of the day and we all kind of like music hits us all in the same type of way and we connect to music in the same type of way. Um, it's really made me I don't for lack of better words like dumb down my approach to doing music. In a way that's like what am I it's made me stop rapping for rapper's sake and start rapping to the audience and be like, what can like, being a lot more intentional with what I say and with what the songs are about and what people can take from the songs and the way that people can connect with the songs. Um, so yeah, it's been I think it's completely like changed the way that I perform and write and that I interact with the world and like it's changed like empathy for me in a weird way because I'm just like it, yeah, yeah. It's been one of the pivotal like factors in my life that has kind of changed how I am as an artist.
And you have shared about being open about your own mental health journey. And this is something that I also resonate with too, because I've had my own mental health struggles in recent
Hmm.
years. And I wonder about like how has being an artist helped you to kind of better understand your own mental health journey? What ways do you uh look to take care of yourself or to disrupt harmful narratives that you used to believe or that you would constantly believe about yourself?
I think a big thing about it is, I mean, the main thing about it has been realizing that it's like my brain is a lot different than everyone else's. And by that, I mean, like, that means that, like, the way one person can drink isn't necessarily the way that I can drink. You know what I mean? The way one person can smoke, even, isn't the way that I can smoke. So it's made me stop trying to compare myself to normal people. You know what I mean? I think that's been a big part of it to realize, like, yeah, you do. think and view the world differently. Um, but that's not a bad thing at all. You know what I mean? And I think it's also like um made me stop leaning on it so much as like as an excuse, as far as like well, this is just how I am. You know what I mean? Like there it it makes you realize how much what you put into your body affects your body, and not even just like food wise. It's like what I'm ingesting musically, what type of podcast am I listening to, what type of music am I listening to, what type of mental state am I subjecting myself to, what am I scrolling through? You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's made me realize just like everything is at the center of everything, like having your like emotional health and mental health is like more important than anything else in the world, and it'll put you like so much further ahead of other creatives and people in the same kind of like space as you.
Yeah, because I think like it's so easy for me to doom scroll and get absorbed with so much information before 9 a.m. hits, and you're like, oh
Hmm.
wow, there's like a lot of information that I just learned about what happened in, that there's a shooting, or that
Hmm.
President Trump is doing this,
Yeah.
or that ICE is coming to Chicago, and you're just like, okay, I haven't had my coffee yet, and I'm just like, what do you do with that? And also as someone who creates too, like content, and I always think about like the idea of touching grass, as the kids will say, like I have to spend a few hours outside, just
Yes.
completely in quiet and solitude. And
Hmm.
also the idea of like, okay, let me hang out with a friend, or let me just even call a friend, or I'll just lay on my bed and just have my AirPod on and just like look at the wall and just not even look at my screen, and just like
Hmm.
have a conversation, be present. And
Yeah.
do you find yourself having to kind of remind yourself that, especially as an artist, that, you work sometimes you work in routines, like when you go on a tour, or very unpredictable routines, like you might have this interview coming up, or that you have to fly out to this city to do this collaboration, or
Hmm.
yeah, like how do you try to um you know try to balance the chaos that you see around the world, but also in your own work, and trying to make sure that you stay grounded?
Mm, video games, honestly. I got my video game on in the background right now.
Oh, what video
I
game are you playing?
Yote, Ghost of
Mhm.
it's what this was called, right? Ghost, yeah, Ghost of Yote.
Oh, okay, I'm not a video game player because I can't, like I'm an outdoor person, so like I can't
Hmm.
allow myself. And plus, I'm also very competitive too, and I hate losing, and it really
Hmm.
messes with me. So it's not good for my own mental health.
That's so fun.
Yeah,
For me,
so
it's like it gives it in a way it it's like vegan productivity for me.
mm,
Like,
mm,
if I'm like feeling like say I'm writing or I'm working on something and I get to a block and I'm feeling like, man, I just can't like kind of figure out what to do, or if I feel like stuck in a situation, I'm just like, "Ah, I don't necessarily know what to do." I can go play this like art role-playing game and level up in that, and it feels like I'm like being productive. You know what I
mm,
mean?
mm,
And all things in moderation, obviously. But I mean, I'll say like video games are a big thing, and then also another big thing for me to like reset and get grounded is, I mean, like you said, touching grass. Like I'll go outside and go for a walk, or I'll go up to the gym. Um, Cooking is very great for me as well. Like, um, cooking is a very like spiritual thing for me.
mm,
Um, in a way, because it's just like it's not even so much spiritual, but it is just like the ultimate form of like self-love,
mm,
especially when it's like you're preparing something that's like is going to be like good for on the better side of
mm.
things for you and like for your mental state and stuff. Like I'm excited to cook right now.
And also for other people too. I think that there's like no better love than having food that's made by the person that loves you, and so I
Yeah.
think that there's something that's so cathartic, and so appreciative about that. And um I'm curious about this current EP that you have been promoting. I would
Mhm.
love to know about the acronym of ART, art,
Mhm.
and also like what, brought you to that name and the creation of this project.
The acronym is essentially the answer to what is the cure for paranoia. And it's ART, a reality in transparency.
Mm,
It's about just realizing like I don't have anything to be paranoid about if I'm just putting everything out there anyway. It's like, what can you say about me? You know what I mean?
mhm,
What can you, yeah, it's like I'm not paranoid about, you know, what people think about me or what people can say because like I already said it. I already put everything out there. You know what I mean? And I think that like it's about work of art is about being so unapologetically yourself that inspires other people to be themselves as well. You know what I mean? I think that's why I resonated with Erica so much because it's like I don't look at her and like be like, oh, I want to be the next Badu. I look at her and I'm like, I want to be the first Cam. You know what I mean? So that's yeah, it's kind of like
mhm.
the work of art.
How would you describe the music that you were putting together? Because I know that there's like the psychedelic rock to it. There's also like the hip hop infused trip hop. I'm curious about what that looks like to you. Like what inspires you with that sound? What does it create for you when you start experimenting?
I really want it to be like a range. I wanted the projects to be like a range of emotions as you go through it. You know what I mean? Like you're dealing with confidence in yourself. Like when you go to like work of art, you're going with like the kind of like mania and like the like kind of like crazy feeling with no brainer. You're dealing with loss and like an origin story. You know what I mean? I just wanted to like kind of like go through the spectrum of um like thought that goes into being a creative and being an artist and like I didn't which is why I also don't like the idea of boxes. I don't like the idea of being like Cure for Paranoia is a this band. This album is a this album. You know what I mean? I want it
Hmm.
to be like something for every occasion and every situation and for everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think it's so important to think about like how the way our world works sometimes, especially the way the record companies and radio for years, like this black music needs to be this way, Latin music needs to be this way. Beyonce should not be doing country music, even though country was started by black people. So it's
Hmm.
kind of like very interesting to see how, I mean, I think of Prince is a great example. Like he was not bound to a genre in a sense. Like he was very much like, look, this is my art. This is what I'm feeling. I'm just gonna
Hmm.
create, create, create. I don't feel like I'm trying to do it on the record label's term. I want to do it on my terms and the sound that I want to have. Um,
Hmm.
I wonder about like I think with this generation and with the TikTok culture, it feels like 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 I don't know. I think that we have like a short attention span to what goes
Oh yeah.
on because it's
Hmm.
like we can't like the days of like waiting for the radio to play your song has been long over years ago.
Hmm.
Now it's more like if you catch it on TikTok, if you catch it on Instagram Reels, if you catch it on YouTube Shorts, it's like, oh wait, I have to go back to that song. I didn't hear this. And it feels like the first 5 seconds, especially with the algorithms, like it
Because
feels
that's
like
when
you have to like
you gotta hook them by that
you
time.
gotta
Yeah.
hook them by up. I mean, with captioning and and
Hmm.
your narration and everything, I feel like, wow, does that also factor in when you're like creating music too? It's like, okay, how can I get people's attention in a very short attention span
A hundred
world that we
percent.
live in? Yeah.
It even with the daily verses, it like made me kind of like do a trial and error of what's going to get people like to start listening,
Hmm.
or not even to start to continue listening. Whenever you're scrolling by, what's going to make you stay on there? And there were a few different things that I would do, like in filming the daily verses, and a few like kind of um, hooks, I guess you would call it, to like um, get people to like stop their scrolling. And it wouldn't even necessarily be what I was saying, but it would be like sometimes it would be the instrumental that I chose to use. It'd be like the familiarity aspect of it. It would be the way that I chose to like enter the frame in the first place, or stuff like that. I don't want to give people too much game, but like there was definitely a lot of trying to like game the system because
Hmm.
it's all it is. That's what it is.
Yeah, because I feel like the playbook for algorithms have changed already this year. And as someone who content creates, like I have to like, okay, likes and follows is not as relevant as say saves and comments now. So it's like, oh, okay. Now I have to rethink about how I engage with people. And I hate to
Hmm.
feel like I'm trying to go towards that because like I like to be very free spirited and be like, look, I don't need algorithms, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also
Hmm.
like, but I also know if I feel like my work is going to reach this audience that I'm really trying to speak to, then, you know, like it's hard for people to access in a way of what's not being curated because we get a lot of curation that's already thrown at us because of what we already like online and it kind of follows through. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a weird world that we live in. And um, what do you see yourself dreaming of like performing at a Lollapalooza, at a Coachella? I mean, it's just kind of wild to see the way like the grandioseness of live shows
Hmm.
and what festivals have really turned out to. But what does that look like for you one day when you get to perform in like one day, hopefully that you get to perform in those kinds of festivals?
We will. And also it like before I came here for this, I just left a rehearsal where I'm performing with a ballet, where they like choreographed mu like movement throughout the entirety of work of art. And that's always how I've wanted to do shows. I've always wanted it to be a musical in a way. Like whenever I go on tour, like my tour that I completely put together for myself, I want it to be in like theaters, not even
Mhm,
necessarily venues. I want to be like at like the Majestics and like kind of like opera houses
mhm,
and stuff like that. And like I am today really confirmed for me that I do want to have
mhm,
like ballets, like what I mean, like ballerinas on stage with me, like whenever I'm performing
mhm,
and stuff like that, because I really want to emulate the art of performing. So whenever we do things like Lollapalooza and um, stuff like that, we're doing ACL this year. Like whenever we do
mhm,
stuff like that, like I do want it to be a situation where it's like there is a full thing going on stage. You know what I mean? I I just like the idea of just giving people in all facets of what I do. I like the idea of giving people
mhm,
something different than they're used to.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like you're going to prove Timothy Chalamet wrong, you know, because I know that he was talking
Look.
about how ballet, he's like
Hmm.
ballet's dead, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
says
like
who? Says who?
right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and I think that's great to go into places that really hasn't been touched or that hasn't been accessed to other demographics and also for
Hmm.
younger people especially because you know like there's other arts that we still really need to lift up but that have been around for hundreds of years
Yeah.
how do we make sure that that is still a reminder of that foundation. So I can't wait to see how that is going to look too.
Yeah.
I think that's just very fascinating and also in a way like a continued experimentation, continued ways of collaborating with music. And I'm curious, like when you go to Europe, like what are you looking forward to from Europe, or what is your anticipation going into it? Because obviously this is a likely a very different crowd, you know, versus the
Hmm.
US. So I'm curious to know what thoughts you have, or how have fans from Europe or from other parts of the continents, like in Asia, South America,
Hmm.
elsewhere, how have they been interacting with your music? What are you noticing from interacting with fans there?
I remember like in our first Tiny Desk submission that we put out, a lot of the uh like shares and responses were coming from like Italy and stuff like that. We're coming from like overseas. I think I'm a little nervous to see like what the response is going to be like in London because I know that they've kind of got like more of a um they got like the drill thing going on,
Mm.
which is like shout out to them. But it's like I'm not that. And I am interested to see, especially like being here and being something like being in America and being something different than Americans are used to. Um, and like the typical standard of what hip hop is one thing. Going to another country where it's like, this is what I get from America. This is what I'm supposed to get. When they think of an American artist or whatever, it's like, or an American hip hop artist, they have like a certain thing in their mind. So yeah, I'm interested to see what the response is when I kind of like flip that on its head a little bit.
Do you see yourself doing more experimenting different kinds of music videos? Because I know when you put out the music video for your last year's NPR Tiny Desk, I was blown away by it. I was like, wow, this is the kind of medium that I miss because I'm a late millennial.
Hmm.
I'm an old millennial. Like I'm 42 years old. Hate to age myself, but here I am. But like I grew up in the era where the anticipation of a new
For
music
music
video.
videos and visuals, like yeah,
Yes, it was.
yeah.
Like I remember waiting for the new Madonna video or the new Janet Jackson video and how much
Mm,
anticipation was built up, behind the music where you kind of see the behind the scenes of how they create the videos and then
hmm.
to say um like watching a lot of like how the documentaries are being created, um how people see that medium as a way to communicate because I think that there's something that's very powerful about that I hope never gets lost too. So do you see yourself like spending more time on that? Because I think of Beyonce's Lemonade and her 2013 album was a great example of like visuals
Visuals.
and how much her fans love talking about the visuals, even though she didn't really
Hmm.
give any on her last two albums. But on her tour, that was the whole thing, and I think
Yeah.
that there's something there's a thirst for that. So how like what kind of visuals do you see yourself wanting to gravitate toward though? Would you like your music to speak about?
I definitely don't want to put out any like music videos. I don't want any shit where it's like the whole like rapping to camera or
Mm,
like I don't want any of that. I want every single thing to be like a short film
mm,
almost. And I want like the lyrics and stuff that I'm doing to all be just lines as far as like this is just lines that my actor has to say in a script. You know what I mean?
mm,
And not necessarily like yeah, like I said, just going out of the norm. All of the music videos will in fact be like um just just stories. And I picture I plan to be very episodic with it as well. That's why it's like I haven't even really put much effort into like I have treatments for different music videos and everything, but I have not put effort into actually creating those music videos yet because it will get lost in the sauce of things. Because it's like I don't even know what Cure for Paranoia is going to be yet. I don't even know just how big this is going to get, but I do want to wait until the point where there is like a for real fandom there that is going to appreciate the art of the visuals that go into it, and it's not going to be a situation where it just gets lost in like in your doom scrolling. You know what I mean?
hmm. And as we start to wrap up, a question that I have in mind is, if you were to talk to yourself 10 years ago, what would you tell that person?
Wow, 10 years ago, I was 22.
Hmm.
I was literally having a just almost a mental breakdown because I realized that I was the age that my mom was when she had me. And I was just like, I don't know. I'm still a baby. You know what I mean? I don't even know what I'm doing. Um, I would tell myself, uh, Mm, I don't know. I tell myself a lot. I guess I would tell myself I trust you.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
would say I trust you to get us where we're gonna be.
Hmm.
And that is, I trust you through all things. I
Hmm.
trust you through the moments when you feel like you need to drink to numb the pain of being yourself. I trust yourself whenever you decide to not drink anymore and to just go through that, just feel that, just feel through that pain of being yourself. I trust you to decide to date a guy in the open and against your better judgment and against um against being afraid of what people are gonna think. I trust you. I would tell myself, I trust you to become yourself.
Mm. That is very beautiful and a great way to soothe that that young 22-year-old self because I think the reason why I love asking those questions is because I feel like sometimes we have to really be gentle with our own past and
Mhm.
think about what we were feeling, that sadness, this loneliness, this uncertainty about the world ahead of us and how
Yeah,
we have in some ways survived it
yeah,
and kind of like, yeah, like we did it together, and so
yeah. And
sometimes
also
yeah.
thinking that like I wouldn't even be in this position had all that stuff not happened. Every single thing
Yeah.
that has happened in these past 10 years was supposed to happen in order for me to be where I'm at right
Hmm.
now. And
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very happy with where I'm at right now.
Yeah. And what are you looking forward to doing besides obviously continuing the tour in Europe? But what else are you looking forward to? What are you most happy about so far? Like that you're eager to work on besides obviously the collaborations and
Mhm.
thinking about the theater route.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to writing a book about all this for one. I'm very
Mm,
much looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to being able to do like TED Talks, honestly. I'm
mm,
looking forward to being able to inspire other people that are going through the same thing. There's so many other like 16-year-olds and 22-year-olds who just also feel like they aren't supposed to like themselves because of the weight that society puts on them and who they should be. And I'm so excited for the badasses that are going to be created from all of the trauma that I had to live through. You know what I
mm,
mean? Um, yeah, I'm excited about bringing change to this genre and this industry and what people think uh hip hop should be.
mm.
I'm excited to be that bitch.
I love it. And, I just want to say thank you so much for being on my show. I hope that
Absolutely.
people get to listen to your new EP. Check out Cure for Paranoia on Instagram.
Yeah.
And also you have your own personal Instagram as well, Cameron McCloud as well.
Cure for
Or is this Cure for
Paranoia.
Paranoia?
Instagram
Okay.
is me.
Gotcha,
Hmm.
gotcha. Yeah, and I hope people get to follow your work. And I really hope that you do finally get that NPR Tiny Desk spot.
Pistons, baby. Pistons, baby.
Yes,
This is the
yes,
one.
this
This
is
is
gonna be your Bose. This is gonna be your Michael Jordan moment. So let's make that
yeah,
happen. So,
yeah,
yeah, but
absolutely.
all the best to you, my friend. And yeah, I am looking forward to following your work.
Right on, man. And I'm looking next time we're out in Chicago, you gotta come through. Just hit up somebody and we'll put you on the list.
Absolutely.